Welcome to this new lesson. We continue the description of the different models, and in this lesson I will talk about the motivation models. We have four motivation models. The first is the Herzberg two-factor theory. The second is intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. The third model is the McClelland theory of needs. And the last model we will discuss is the theory X, Y, and Z. Let us start first with the Herzberg two-factor theory. But it's one of those models that are part of this chapter. When we look at the Herzberg two-factor theory, we first have parameters which influence job dissatisfaction, and on the other one we have job satisfaction. Considering job dissatisfaction, these are the elements or the motivational elements, or what we call basically the hygiene factors. The hygiene factors are very important before we can have motivation because they have to be present. Otherwise, the classical motivation factors will not work properly. Hygiene factors are very important. We will look at the details in the following slide. The same thing when we look at job satisfaction. Here we have basically the motivation factors. They will influence your motivation only when the hygiene factors are present. So let's have a look at the hygiene and the motivational factors. So we still have the Herzberg two-factor theory, and we have job dissatisfaction with the hygiene factors. We have the salary. A good salary is one of the basic elements. It's not a motivational parameter as such, because if the salary is not good, only salary, although some people only look at salary, it's possible, then it can be also a motivational factor. But in general, it's an hygiene factor. Working conditions, what is the environment, how are you treated, what is your office space, how do they respect you. I was working at some place and suddenly I had a working spot and they changed everything around. I didn't like it, so it's already one of those hygiene factors. It's not nice if you have to go there and people change things. They take away your seat, they take away your tools that you're working, or they put somebody else at your office without saying anything. Physical workspace, how does it look like? Is it nice? Do you have nice light, or did they put you in the basement and you don't have any view outside, or you're isolated from the other people? Most of the time, it's not a good thing. The physical workspace is very important. Colleagues, how do the colleagues deal with you? What are their ideas? How is the relationship with the colleagues? The supervisor, how is he or she treating you? What is your relationship with the supervisor? Very important. If you don't have a good working relationship, it's a very important element and a very important hygiene factor. Policies and rules, for example, you have to be on time. If you're 5 minutes late or 1 minute late, there is already a problem. Or you have basically a 9 to 5 way of dealing the work, or you're free. All these things play a role. I want to come back, for example, to the physical workspace. I've seen some places where the workspace has nice plants. You have a sitting area, a relaxing area. It's already one of those things that makes you like feeling in the park or at home, gives you a better idea, gives you better feelings where you're working, and it's very important for many people. Also, the salary people, when they're looking at salary, when you get the salary increase, typically the effect works like about 3 months. And if you're only motivating people with salary increases, then you will have the problem that if they don't get the salary increase every 3 months, they will not be happy. Of course, these things you have to identify them for the person in any specific case. Every person may be different, but the hygiene factors in general are those important factors that set the basis for motivation. So when we look at motivation is very important here. Achievement is very important. What can you achieve? What you do? You look at recognition. They say, hello, you did a great job. Your boss tells you, hey, great thing done, or they give some award for something you did. Recognition is very important. It can be just mentioning you in a meeting, or a higher level manager comes to you and say, hey, greatly done. Things like that are very important. The job status, what you feel about the job. They don't call cleaning ladies anymore. They give it like floor manager, or suddenly somebody is a manager. And people feel better when the title is nicer than just cleaning lady or whatever function you can have. It gives more satisfaction to the person who's doing that job. Responsibility, how much responsibility you get, what can you do, how do they share responsibility with you, what are your opportunities there. And very important opportunity is growth, is moving through the company, it's going and learning from different departments. It may also be trainings, participation to congresses. So these are all kinds of opportunities that you can get. Your personal growth, it's also with the courses. Of course, you can learn, you can see what's happening, you can be part of a team doing challenging things. And the work itself, do you like the work? There are some elements when you look at the people. I don't like a lot of administrative work, and my colleague didn't really like the relational work. Anyway, we could find a way to work together and do the things, helping each other, so that most of the time we were doing the work that we like. Typically in companies, what they try to do is they say everybody does the same work. It can be done differently. It depends. Anyway, the work itself, the tools you have, all the things you can do is a very important motivational factor. Let's have a look now at what we call intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. Typically, extrinsic motivation, when we talk about extrinsic motivators, we talk about salary. And for example, when they reach a certain level, they will not contribute to the motivation anymore. It was one of the elements that we've seen before. If you have the nice salary, but the work is not really nice, you may not be happy about doing the work. When we look at intrinsic motivators, they have a longer lasting effect. And when we look at the three main intrinsic motivators, they are autonomy, how to direct your own life, flexible hours, holiday, home office, and so on. When I was working in AT&T, one of the elements I had to get me motivated was extra unpaid holidays. We could work wherever we want as long as the work was done. That was the motivator. Basically, you could do the work how you like, how you deal with it, any way you like. Mastery, it's about the possibility to improve and excel, and the purpose is about making a difference. Those extrinsic motivational parameters, they will help you for a while, but the intrinsic parameters or the intrinsic motivation will have a longer lasting effect on the work you are doing. Another element is what we call the McClelland theory of needs. We've been talking about this before. We have different types of achievement, power, and needs, affiliation. So we have the need for achievement, we have the need for power, and the need for affiliation. Typically we say NH, NPOW, and NF. The people with high achievement, or in the category of achievement, they must win at all costs. They want to be on it, they want to get the credit, they fear failure, and they avoid typically responsibility. People in the power category, they want to have control over everyone and everything. They exaggerate sometimes their own position and resources. They are dependent, subordinate, minimizes own position and resources. When we look at affiliation, they demand blind loyalty and harmony, does not tolerate disagreement, but they remains aloof, they maintain social distance. So we have different elements related to these three categories that were defined. Let's have a look now at the McGregor theory X and Y and Uchi's theory Z. We already spoke about the theory X and Y, but there is also Uchi's theory Z. Uchi is a Japanese American, and he found some other elements about people. Now, when we look at theory X, typically the people in theory X, they dislike work and they want to avoid it. So the theory of X managers think about the people that they dislike work and they want to avoid it. They prefer to be controlled. You have to control the people. There is everything about security, not about responsibility. They perform through intimidation. So the X manager will typically intimidate the people to push them to perform, and they are only motivated by financial rewards. If you pay them more, they will work more. On the other hand, the theory Y managers, they look at it differently. They say work is a natural part of life, so the people consider this as a natural part of life, and they tend to work. They prefer limited control and direction. They seek responsibility under proper work conditions. They perform better in a non-intimidating environment, and they're motivated by different needs. The theory Z is a little bit different. Here we look at the elements. First of all, employee involvement is the key to increased productivity. You see, it's a different approach from the X and Y theory. Employee control is implied and informal. So there is no formal control, but there is control in a certain way. They share responsibilities and decision making. They perform better in environments that foster trust and cooperation. And they need guaranteed employment, and they will accept slow evaluation. So typically 3 different theories about the people and how to deal with them. Let's have a look where we find those models. And for this case, the motivational models, we find them typically in the team performance domain, in the planning performance domain, and the project work performance domain, which is the typical way where we're dealing with these people. We're dealing with the team members. So team planning and project work are the places where we typically work with these models. So that's it. Here you see how these different models link to the performance domain. But that's it for this lesson. This is all about the models. In the next lesson, we are going to talk about the change models. That's it for this lesson. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in our next lesson. Bye-bye.